So there's this constant fear of like, what if what if somebody more interesting comes along? What if somebody funnier comes along? What if somebody more attractive comes along? What if somebody more successful comes along? And fearful avoidants have this like lingering, almost like survival fear in relationships, thinking if those things happen and I'm not here earning my keep, then I'm going to be left and abandoned and it's going to hurt me and I'm going to be really wounded. Hi, my name is Gibson and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the fearful avoidance, also known as the disorganized attachment style and the fear of boredom. So we're going to talk a little bit about both the fear of becoming bored in a romantic relationship and also the bigger fear, the vast majority of the time, of others becoming bored of them in romantic relationships. We're going to discuss where this comes from, what we can do about it, and how we can start creating change. I am in a different place today than I normally am. I'm having a little sort of like staycation sort of thing as we are moving, and we're about to sort of pick up and move across the country, which is very exciting. And so you may see a different location from time to time over the next couple of weeks as we're getting everything organized and packed and sorted. So just stay tuned for that. As you see different backgrounds, don't be alarmed or surprised. I know it's a bit of a change. So anyways, I want to make sure no matter what, I get these daily videos out for you guys. So basically, fearful avoidants tend to have this really big fear of being bored of other people, but a much larger fear of people being bored of them. And this is largely because of this belief that relationships are about earning your worth by staying worthy enough to be relevant so that you can be worth loving. And a lot of this comes from the fearful avoidant or disorganized attachment style's childhood upbringing, where like literally there was so much inconsistency in a way that was usually unsafe or tumultuous or a little bit treacherous in some form at times. And so what we'll see essentially is that a fearful avoidant grows up feeling like, I just have to earn love to get it. I have to like do everything properly, do everything right. And there's this deep feeling of unworthiness, usually because of some form of neglect that takes place as well. And because of this essentially creates this concept or idea for the fearful avoidant that like, I'm not worthy of love as I am. And because of this, and then because of some of the other challenging attachment style habits and behavioral patterns that come with fearful avoidant, things like the volatility that can happen, the distrust, the suspicion, the other core beliefs, the fear of being too close and being trapped, the fear of being too far and being abandoned. What often happens as well is fearful avoidants don't usually make it beyond the power struggle phase of a relationship. And I can't stress enough how important it is for your worldview about relationships to be able to have at least one experience where you make it beyond the power struggle phase. Because what you'll realize and feel firsthand is that relationships are not just about infatuation and attraction and then the power struggle. It's not just about like being really attracted to somebody and feeling like they're good enough on paper or they're worthy or whatever it might be. And then, you have to keep that attraction level super extremely high at all times. And everybody has to be infatuated with each other for a relationship to work. That transforms over time, and that transforms still into an attraction and an infatuation, but in a really beautiful way with couples where it's like, there are deeper roots to their relationship. There's more love, there's more connection. That love and connection exists at a deeper level. And it's not this roller coaster of like those highs and lows. And so when somebody hasn't had the experience of moving beyond the power struggle phase of a relationship, they often think that like you have to stay relevant and important and worthy and all the boxes checked off on paper so that you can be worthy of somebody still loving you, as opposed to recognizing that no, love is actually about building deep roots in a relationship of trust, of understanding, of being able to take one another into consideration, of being able to see and hear and understand one another's fears and core wounds, and to have conversations about them and work through different things, and to be respectful of each other's boundaries and to come to understand one another's needs and have healthy habits and good love languages. And there's so much more the relationships are about, but it's really difficult for the fearful avoidant when they've only ever seen the power struggle phase or the dating and honeymoon phases, which are obviously predominantly about infatuation and attraction. And so they have this sort of like minimal picture without it's like the pieces are missing from some of the puzzles for how a relationship should look. And then there's this pressure that they put on themselves in the background, like, oh, because I have to be worthy of love, I have to constantly earn my worth. And so there's this constant fear of like, what if I'm, what if somebody more interesting comes along? What if somebody funnier comes along? What if somebody more attractive comes along? What if somebody more successful comes along? And fearful avoidants have this like lingering, almost like survival fear in relationships, thinking if those things happen and I'm not here earning my keep, then I'm going to be left and abandoned, and it's going to hurt me, and I'm going to be really wounded. And so it's really, really like painful to see people going through this, but it's really important for fearful ones to recognize that love and long-term relationships and relationships lasting are much more than being simply about the earlier stages of the life cycle of a relationship. They go into stability and commitment and bliss stages, etc. So if you want to do a deeper dive into like how to work on some of these things, I'm going to give you a couple of tools in a moment, but also there's a link in the description box below, and it's for a 7-day free trial to check out our Fearful Avoidant Reprogramming course, and also how the Fearful Avoidant Attachment Style appears in the 6 stages of relationships and the specific rites of passage and lessons for your attachment style to move into the next stages and keep progressing. So that's a big part of like why people can be afraid. Fearful avoidance specifically can be afraid of people becoming bored of them. And then fearful avoidance also do have this high need for novelty. And they tend to always want to like try new things and sort of they tend to be a little bit they have a hard time like settling down sometimes in life. And part of this comes from like your subconscious comfort zone being chaos growing up. If there was a total lack of settling, your subconscious isn't used to that. And so it will repel some of that at times. And so what can also happen is fearful avoidants can also fear becoming bored of somebody else or feel like they're losing interest in somebody else in a romantic way. Also in friendships and different dynamics, this can exist as well. And a lot of this comes from this need for novelty. And if the need for novelty is higher than the need for security, then you're going to see more of that push-pull taking place in the fearful avoidance programming. What I usually find is that as fearful avoidants become more secure, they tend to actually value the security in a healthy way, like value getting off the roller coaster, because when you reprogram your own subconscious comfort zone to not be about chaos and unsafety and challenge all the time and into a safer space, you actually tend to attract those things and value those things accordingly. So some really important things that fearful avoidants can work on, if this is a program or pattern showing up for you, is number one, the beliefs you have about how relationships will end. You can do like a deep dive into like just writing out all the things you're afraid of happening within a relationship dynamic. Fear that I'll be left behind, fear that I'll be abandoned, fear that people will get bored of me and then leave me, that people will lose interest, that people will cheat because they lose interest. A lot of those dynamics are at play at the subconscious level of a fearful avoidant before you're doing some of that work. And then what you also want to do is you want to do some work to really heal those inner wounds and different inner wounds that you have, like your core wounds that sort of get projected onto relationships in general. So things like, I will be trapped, I will be helpless, I will be powerless, I will be unsafe, I will be betrayed. And then the anxious side wounds that you have as well. Things like, I am unworthy, I am not good enough, I will be rejected, I will be abandoned, are some big ones. And so when you're reprogramming those beliefs and then reprogramming your beliefs about what it means to be in a relationship, what your beliefs are about commitment, long-term relationships, those sorts of things, when you're reprogramming those things in general, that will be really helpful. And this will help to move you beyond the honeymoon stage. Now, there's more to it than that, but it's a really, really important place to start. And the other thing I just want to mention as well is it's also okay for people to not want a long-term relationship and to be in a stage of their life where they don't want that, or they decided they don't want that, period. That's beautiful as long as that's coming from truth. If it's coming from fear because you just have wounds and that's what's driving your behaviors and your decisions, are painful imprints you've had from past experiences or unresolved traumas, that's an injustice to you. But if you've reprogrammed those things and you just are in a place where you want novelty, you want exploration, and that's just a high priority, but you're not coming from like, oh, I want novelty and exploration because I don't trust people and people will hurt me anyway, so it's better I just stay on my own. As long as you're coming from that healthy place, then that is beautiful no matter what your choice or decision is. So I just wanted to add that in there as well. Hopefully this all makes sense. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. Again, you can check out the Fearful Avoidant Reprogramming courses for free for 7 days by clicking in the link in the description box below that will give you access to all of our different courses inside of the school. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.